All right, welcome back. It's great to have you with us.
It's great to be back.
As we continue to dive deep
Yes.
into the Dharma Collection,
Mm.
and for anyone just joining us, we're looking at this incredible Buddhist text, almost like a cheat sheet
Yeah,
for the path to enlightenment.
absolutely.
And last time
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
we covered the first 60 Dharma,
Dharmas.
and today we're going to tackle 61 through 80.
That's right, we are. Yeah, these next 20 are really interesting because they're a mix of like really practical advice and then some really profound concepts.
Yeah.
So we're going to talking about things like daily life and
Yeah.
and the nature of a Buddha.
Okay, so Dharma number 61
Yes.
starts us off with something I think we can all relate to, which are the 8 worldly conditions.
Yeah.
And the text describes them as greed, non-greed, happiness, suffering, fame, infamy, blame, and praise.
It's a pretty good list, right? It's basically the rundown of like what it means to be human. It's like the highs and the lows and
the good, the bad.
The good, the bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's fascinating is how Buddhism views these as pairs of opposites that can trap us. And the goal isn't to like eliminate these experiences because they are a natural part of life.
Of course.
But to find balance and detachment from them.
So not getting too caught up in the highs or letting the lows derail us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about cultivating equanimity.
Yeah.
So that steady, balanced state of mind that allows us to navigate life's ups and downs without getting swept away. So, I mean, think about it. How often are we chasing after fleeting pleasure?
Oh, constantly.
Right.
Yeah.
Or getting completely bogged down by difficult experiences. It happens all the time.
Yeah, it's my like default setting, I think.
Yeah.
But how do we cultivate that detachment?
That's a great question, and one we'll be exploring further as we go through these dharmas.
Okay.
But detachment isn't about becoming like emotionless or apathetic.
Right.
It's about recognizing the impermanent nature of all these conditions and not clinging to them as sources of lasting happiness or suffering.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's more about like shifting our perspective
Exactly.
than like trying to force ourselves to feel nothing.
Yeah. Precisely.
Okay.
Now, Dharma number 62 might seem like a little bit of a shift.
Okay.
But it actually ties in really nicely with this whole idea of perspective.
Okay.
Because it talks about the 9 types of teachings.
Okay.
Which are basically just different ways that Buddhist wisdom is presented.
Okay.
So we've got discourses, we've got prose mixed with verse.
Okay.
Explanations, straight up verses.
Okay. Exalted utterances, birth stories, elaborations, wondrous things.
Yeah, that's quite a variety.
And instructions.
Yeah, it's like a buffet of Buddhist teachings.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And it's because, not everybody learns the same way, right?
Right.
Some people are drawn to stories.
Yeah.
Other people prefer philosophical analysis.
Yeah.
And then some people really connect with poetry or guided meditations.
Right. So it's kind of meeting people where they are and offering a path that resonates with them.
Yeah, and their individual needs.
Yeah.
Learning styles.
I love that.
Yeah, it's really about making that wisdom accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
Regardless of their background or their personality.
I like that. Okay, so Dharma number 63.
Yeah, number 63.
Takes us in a totally different direction.
Totally different direction.
With the 12 ascetic virtues.
And these are some pretty intense practices.
They are.
That are designed to like really cultivate detachment.
Yeah.
And focus the mind.
Hey, they definitely challenge our modern ideas of comfort and convenience.
Yeah.
We're talking about things like eating only alms food, wearing only 3 robes.
Okay.
Not accepting more food once you've started eating. Not lying down.
Wait, not lying down at all.
That's right.
Like never.
Yeah. So this is a virtue that encourages you to maintain a constant state of alertness and awareness, even while sleeping.
Okay.
Other virtues include sleeping wherever you're offered a place, living at the root of a tree in an empty place, wilderness, or even a charnel ground.
A charnel ground. Isn't that like a cemetery?
That's right, yeah.
Okay, that seems pretty hardcore.
It is. The purpose is to confront the reality of impermanence
Yeah.
and death
Yeah.
directly. So it's a powerful practice for cultivating detachment
Yeah.
from the physical world and our attachment to our body.
I can see how, like, living surrounded by reminders of death would put things in perspective.
Exactly. And these practices are not for everyone, of course.
Right.
They're really for those who are really dedicated to the path
Yeah.
and seeking that radical transformation.
Yeah. So it's like simplifying your life,
It is.
but taking it to, like, the extreme.
It is, yeah. It's about stripping away all those
Yeah.
external distractions and comforts
Yeah.
to really confront yourself in
Yeah.
your own mind.
So Dharma number 64
Mm-hmm.
and 65.
Yes.
Map out the stages
Yes.
of the Bodhisattva's journey
Mm-hmm.
towards enlightenment.
Right?
First with the 10 stages,
Yeah.
and then expanding to the 13 stages.
13.
So can you break down this progression for us?
Absolutely. So with the 10 stages, we start with the stage of rejoicing.
Okay.
And that's where the Bodhisattva is experiencing
Yeah.
just this great joy in their commitment to the path.
Mm-hmm.
Then we move on to the unstained stage,
Okay.
where they're purifying
Right.
their mind and their actions.
Mm-hmm.
And then it progresses through light-making, radiant, and very difficult of success,
Okay.
where they face challenges and develop resilience.
Mm-hmm.
Then it continues with manifest, far gone, and immovable
Mm-hmm.
as their wisdom and compassion deepens.
Yeah.
They reach really intelligent,
Okay.
and finally cloud of Dharma,
Mm-hmm.
where their understanding of reality expands profoundly.
Wow. It sounds like an incredible journey of transformation.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. But what about those extra 3 stages?
So the 13 stages build upon those 10
Okay.
by adding all-round light, incomparable, and knowledgeable.
Okay.
And these represent even deeper levels
Oh.
of wisdom, compassion, and skillful action.
Okay. So it's like a gradual unfolding.
It is.
Each stage kind of building on the previous one.
Yeah.
What I find interesting is that even though these stages are described linearly,
Yeah.
I imagine, like, the actual experience
Yeah.
is probably more fluid and dynamic.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like you're just checking boxes off a list.
Right.
It's a continuous process of growth
Yeah.
and transformation
Mm-hmm.
with moments of insight and challenges and breakthroughs along the way.
Now, Dharma number 66 is one I'm particularly curious about,
Okay.
which is the 5 Eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
And it sounds a bit mystical,
It does sound a bit mystical.
but I'm guessing it's about different ways of seeing the world.
You're right on the mark. Yeah. So the 5 eyes represent different levels of perception,
Okay.
starting with the familiar fleshly eye.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our ordinary vision,
Yeah.
how we see the physical world around us.
But then it goes beyond that.
It does, exactly.
Yeah.
So the second eye
Right.
is the Dharma eye.
Okay.
And the Dharma eye sees the truth of the teaching,
Mm-hmm.
the underlying principles of reality.
Yeah.
The third eye is the wisdom eye.
Okay.
And that sees reality as it is, free from delusion and distortion.
Yep.
Then we've got the divine eye,
Mm-hmm.
which can see the past, present, and future.
Oh, wow.
It can perceive the flow of karma
Wow.
and the interconnectedness of all things.
It's like having a much, much broader spectrum
It is.
of information and understanding.
Yeah, exactly.
But what about that 5th eye,
The Buddha eye.
the Buddha eye?
Yeah. So that's the ultimate level of
Yeah.
perception.
Yeah.
It's the culmination of the path,
Mm-hmm.
and the Buddha eye represents complete and perfect
Wow.
understanding of reality. It sees everything as it truly is, with clarity, compassion, and wisdom.
It's like reaching the peak of a mountain and
Yeah.
seeing the
Yeah.
entire
Yeah.
landscape laid out before you.
That's a beautiful analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really highlights
Yeah.
the transformative power of this path,
Mm-hmm.
the potential we all have to awaken
Yeah.
to a deeper understanding of ourselves
Mm.
and the world around us.
This is fascinating stuff.
It is, yeah.
I know we have a lot more ground to cover.
We do.
It's-
But I think this is a great place to stop for now.
Okay.
And we'll pick it up next time.
Okay, sounds good.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it is fascinating to think about those five eyes as like these different lenses that we can perceive reality through.
Yeah.
Imagine if we could cultivate those higher levels of seeing.
Totally.
But before we get too carried away with mystical visions, Dharma numbers 67, 68, and 69 bring us back down to earth a little bit.
Okay.
Because they deal with some of the internal obstacles that we face on this path.
Okay.
So we're talking about the 6 defilements, the 5 views, and the 24 minor defilements.
Okay, so these dharmas are almost like a map
They are
of the mind, right?
Right, yeah.
They're highlighting the patterns of thinking and behavior
Exactly.
that can lead us to suffering.
Yeah.
So basically a guide to all the ways we can trip ourselves up.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Sounds a little daunting.
It might seem that way at first, but remember, this is about understanding, not judgment.
Right.
These defilements, they arise from our attachment to those 8 worldly conditions that we were talking about before.
Right, those pairs of opposites, like...
Exactly. Yeah, pleasure and pain.
Yeah, the praise and blame.
Praise and blame.
That we tend to cling to.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's not that these thoughts and emotions are inherently bad.
Right.
But it's our attachment to them that causes the problems.
Yes, that makes sense.
So the 6 defilements, those include things like passion, aversion, conceit, ignorance, bad views, and doubt.
Okay.
And these are really the root causes of so much of our suffering.
And I'm guessing like the 5 views and the 24 minor defilements kind of build on these.
They do, yeah.
Get into like more specific ways these defilements manifest.
Precisely. Yeah. So the 5 views, those are about clinging to certain perspectives or beliefs that prevent us from seeing reality clearly. So for example, the embodiment view, that's the mistaken belief that our true self is limited to our physical body, or holding extreme views. So that refers to clinging to rigid beliefs like everything is good or everything is bad.
Right. So it's like getting stuck.
Yeah, it's like tunnel vision. You're not seeing the bigger picture.
Unable to acknowledge other perspectives.
Yeah. And then the 24 minor defilements, those get even more specific.
Okay.
Listing things like anger, enmity, jealousy, treachery, shame, sloth, heedlessness.
So it's like a laundry list.
It's a long
all the ways our minds can get tangled up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But you said it's not about judgment.
No.
So how do we work with these defilements?
Right.
Do we try to suppress them?
So the path isn't about suppression.
Okay.
It's about purification and transformation. Okay.
So it's about recognizing these patterns in ourselves, understanding their root causes, and then cultivating the wisdom and compassion to free ourselves from their grip.
So more like a gentle untangling than like a forceful ripping apart.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Yeah. Yeah, it's about cultivating a kind and understanding awareness of our own minds.
Okay, Dharma number 70 shifts our attention to the 5 nutriments.
5 nutriments, yeah.
Which I find fascinating because it expands our understanding of nourishment beyond just like physical food.
Absolutely.
Right. It recognizes that we feed ourselves.
Yeah, we do.
In many ways.
Yeah, many ways. Yeah. And that everything we take in, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all shapes who we are.
Okay, so what are those 5 nutriments? Okay, so we have the nutriment of absorption. Okay. And that refers to taking in spiritual teachings and practices. Right. Then there's the nutriment of food, which is our physical sustenance. Right. We've got the nutriment from withdrawal, which involves withdrawing from the senses to cultivate inner peace. Yeah. The nutriment of contact, which is our interaction with the world and other beings. Right. And finally, the nutriment of intention, which is about the motivations behind our thoughts and actions.
Right. So it's like being mindful of the ingredients we're using to create our lives, making sure we're nourishing ourselves on all levels.
Exactly. Yeah. And just as we might choose to eat healthy foods to nourish our bodies, we can also choose to nourish our minds with positive thoughts,
yeah,
wholesome actions,
yeah,
and inspiring teachings.
Now, Dharma number 71 tackles something that's universal to the human experience, which is fear.
Fear.
The text lists the 5 fears as fear for one's livelihood, fear of grief, fear of death, fear of a bad destination, and fear through timidity.
These are some pretty fundamental fears. Yeah, I mean, fears that most of us grapple with at some point in our life.
For sure. Yeah. It's interesting that Buddhism doesn't shy away from these fears, but instead names them directly.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's about acknowledging that fear is a part of the human experience, but that it doesn't have to control us. And by understanding the nature of our fears, we can start to address them more skillfully and find greater freedom and peace of mind.
So it's not about pretending we're not afraid, but it's about facing those fears head on with wisdom and compassion.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, Dharma number 72 shifts our attention to the 4 absorptions, which are states of deep meditation that cultivate tranquility and insight.
All right, I'm ready to dive into some serious mental discipline here.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
So the first absorption that involves thinking, reflection, and the happiness and joy that comes from seclusion.
Okay.
The second absorption focuses on internal clarity and a deeper level of happiness and joy.
Okay.
The third absorption is characterized by equanimity, mindfulness, and full knowledge. And finally, the fourth absorption is a state of complete purity.
Wow.
Of mindfulness and equanimity with a feeling that is neither pleasant nor unpleasant.
Wow, that's quite a progression.
It is.
It sounds like each absorption kind of builds on the previous one, leading to deeper and deeper levels of peace and understanding.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
It's important to remember, though, that these absorptions aren't just theoretical states.
Yeah.
They're attainable. Through dedicated practice. And they can bring incredible benefits to our lives, even if we don't reach those highest levels.
So even if we're not spending hours in meditation each day, we can still learn from these teachings and apply them to our daily lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the principles behind these absorptions, like cultivating focus, calming the mind, developing equanimity. Those can be incredibly helpful in navigating, the stresses and challenges, the everyday life.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, Dharma number 73 talks about the 3 liberations, which are described as empty, signless, and desireless.
Okay, and these liberations represent a profound freedom from clinging to those things that we mistakenly believe will bring us lasting happiness.
Yeah, it points to the realization that true freedom comes from within, not from external circumstances.
So empty refers to the understanding that all phenomena are impermanent and lack inherent self, right?
Yes.
That everything is constantly changing and interconnected.
Interconnected,
Okay. Yeah. And then signless refers to the liberation from clinging to perceptions, to the labels and categories that we impose on reality.
It's about seeing beyond the surface level to the true nature of things.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then desireless doesn't mean we don't have any desires, but rather that we're free
from the grip of craving and attachment.
And attachment, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about recognizing that lasting happiness doesn't come from chasing after external objects or experiences, but from cultivating inner peace and contentment.
It's about shifting our focus from wanting to being.
Beautifully put.
Yeah.
Now, Dharma number 74 and 75 shift our attention to the qualities of a bodhisattva. So these are those beings who are dedicated to achieving enlightenment for the benefit of all beings.
So these are the qualities and skills that a bodhisattva cultivates on their path to awakening.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So the 10 masteries, those include mastery of life, mind, discipline, dharma, spiritual power, birth, resolution, aspiration, deeds, and knowledge.
Wow. That's That's quite a list.
It's a long one.
What sounds like a bodhisattva is, like a master of pretty much everything.
It is. It is. It's a reminder that the path to enlightenment is a comprehensive undertaking. It involves all aspects of our being, our actions, our thoughts, our emotions, and our spiritual aspirations.
Yeah. And what about those 10 strengths?
Right.
How do those differ from the masteries?
So the 10 strengths, those are qualities that arise from
those masteries.
Right.
And they include resolution, observation, behavior, patience, knowledge, abandoning, concentration, inspired speech, merit, and practices.
Okay, so these strengths support the bodhisattva in navigating the challenges of the path. And in benefiting all beings.
All beings.
Okay, so it's not just about personal enlightenment,
right?
But
it's about
using that wisdom and compassion to help others.
Exactly.
Right.
A bodhisattva's journey is driven by this deep commitment to alleviate the suffering of all beings.
It's inspiring to think.
It was about
those who
it's a high call.
Dedicate their lives. It's such a noble purpose.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And while we may not
all be bodhisattvas,
exactly,
in the traditional sense, we can still learn from their example, and cultivate these qualities of compassion, wisdom, and skillful action, in our own lives.
In our own lives, yeah.
Speaking of inspiration,
right?
Dharma number 76.
Okay.
Outlines the 10 strengths of a realized one.
On a realized one.
And these are
these are the big ones.
Yeah, these are the ultimate qualities of a Buddha.
Of a Buddha.
Right.
Yeah.
These are the qualities
that manifest
when someone has fully awakened.
When someone is fully awakened.
So these strengths are pretty mind-blowing. I mean, they include knowing the possible and the impossible.
Okay.
Knowing deeds and results. Knowing various elements and inclinations.
Knowing the faculties of beings, knowing the practice that leads to all destinations, knowing the absorptions, liberations, concentrations, attainments, and purification, and arising from defilements, knowing the recollection of his manifold past existences, knowing the passing away and arising of beings, and knowing the destruction of the pollutants.
Wow, it's a mouthful.
It is, but it gives us a glimpse, doesn't it?
It does. It gives us like a glimpse
into the vastness, the depth of an awakened mind.
Yeah. It's almost hard to comprehend.
It is. It's hard to wrap our minds around
the level of understanding that a Buddha possesses.
Yeah. But it's important to remember that the Buddha wasn't born with these qualities.
Right.
He cultivated them through dedicated practice, just as we can.
Right. And that's a really encouraging thought.
It is encouraging.
It means that enlightenment isn't some far off, unattainable state.
Yeah.
But something that's within our own potential.
It's something that's within our own potential.
Our own potential, yeah.
Yeah.
The teachings, they point to the possibility of awakening that exists within each of us.
Right.
It's a journey, a process of unfolding and realization that we can all embark on.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
In this section.
Yeah.
From the obstacles we face to this incredible potential that lies within us.
So, should we take a break?
Yeah. Let's take a quick break and come back for the final part, our deep dive.
All right. It's amazing, isn't it? All that potential within us.
Yeah, it is. But those 10 strengths of a realized one.
They're still pretty mind-boggling to me.
Well, remember, the Buddha emphasized that it's a gradual path. You know, it's not like you just snap your fingers and suddenly have all these qualities.
Okay, that makes me feel a little less intimidated.
Yeah.
So, where were we? Ah, yes. Dharma number 77.
Yes.
This one focuses on the 4 confidences of a Buddha.
Yeah. These are key because they really highlight that unshakable certainty that arises from direct experience and realization.
So it's not about blind faith.
No.
But it's about
knowing for yourself.
Yeah, through your own experience and understanding.
By our experience, yeah.
Okay.
So what are those 4 confidences?
Yeah, what are they?
Okay, so the first is confidence in the awakening.
Okay.
So that's that unshakable knowledge that enlightenment is possible.
Okay.
Then there's confidence in the destruction of the pollutants. So the defilements.
Right.
The negative patterns of mind that we've been talking about.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Once you've experienced that freedom,
yeah,
you know it's possible.
You know it's possible, exactly. Yeah. The third confidence is in the path that leads to entering emancipation.
Okay.
So the path of practice and understanding that leads to liberation.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, there's confidence that those things declared in the Dharma to be obstacles are not other than as stated.
So the Buddha had complete confidence in the teachings and practices that he shared with the world.
Yeah. It's a reminder that the teachings aren't just theoretical concepts, but practical tools for transformation that have been tested and proven through direct experience.
Now, Dharma number 78 brings us back down to earth a bit with a reminder that even on the spiritual path, there could be pitfalls.
That can be,
It lists the 5 selfishnesses.
Yeah. These are subtle forms of clinging that can hinder our progress, even when we think we're on the right track.
So it's not just about material possessions, but also about clinging to teachings or status or even spiritual attainments.
Spiritual attainments.
Okay.
Exactly. So the 5 selfishness.
So they are selfishness regarding dharma, wealth, dwellings, wholesomeness, and class.
It's so easy.
It is easy
to get caught up in those things, right?
To think that they define us or that they'll bring us lasting happiness.
It's a reminder to check our motivations.
It is.
And be on guard against subtle forms of ego clinging.
Ego clinging.
Even in spiritual context.
Spiritual context.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Humility and a willingness to learn are really essential on this path.
Okay, so Dharma number 79 shifts our attention back to the extraordinary nature of the Buddha. Describing the 18 special qualities of a Buddha.
So these qualities, they highlight the Buddha's perfected nature, the fruits of his enlightenment.
Right. It gives us a glimpse of what's possible.
What's possible, yeah.
What are some of those qualities?
Okay, so a Buddha does not stumble.
Okay.
Does not cry out, does not lose mindfulness, does not have uncollectedness of mind, does not have perceptions of a variety of feelings, does not have equanimity due to lack of observation, does not have a loss of desire, energy, mindfulness, concentration, wisdom, liberation, or knowledge and insight into liberation.
That's a lot of does nots.
It is a lot of does nots, yeah.
What does it all mean?
Well, it's highlighting the Buddha's complete freedom from the pull of defilements.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, from the ups and downs of our mental and emotional state.
Right. So a Buddha is...
Yeah, a Buddha is steady, unwavering, fully present.
That sounds like incredible peace and clarity.
Yeah.
But there's more.
There's more, yeah. So it continues. All of a Buddha's bodily, verbal, and mental deeds are preceded by knowledge and are in accordance with knowledge. Additionally, a Buddha has independent, unobstructed knowledge and insight into the past and present time.
So everything a Buddha does is intentional.
It is.
And wise and compassionate.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a powerful demonstration of the fruits of enlightenment.
Now, Dharma number 80.
Okay, the last one.
The last one.
Yeah.
For today's deep dive.
Right.
Brings us
back down to earth.
To the reality of impermanence.
Yeah.
It lists the 4 destroyers.
And these destroyers, they highlight the fact that everything is in constant flux.
Yeah.
Everything is subject to change.
Right.
Even for a Buddha.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Yeah.
Impermanence really seems to be...
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal in Buddhism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are those 4 destroyers?
All right, so the first is the components destroyer, which refers to the breakdown of the physical body.
Right.
The second is the defilements destroyer. The process of purifying the mind and freeing ourselves from those negative patterns.
So 2 destroyers we're somewhat familiar with. The aging of the body and the work transforming the mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
What are the other 2?
Yeah.
Okay, so the third destroyer is the destroyer god, Mara,
okay,
who represents the forces of delusion and temptation that can lead us astray.
Right.
And then finally, there's death.
Right.
As destroyer, the inevitable end of our physical existence.
That's a pretty stark reminder.
Yeah.
That nothing lasts forever.
It doesn't. Not even for a Buddha.
Even for a Buddha, yeah.
Yeah.
But remember, from a Buddhist perspective, death isn't the end.
Right.
It's simply a transition to another state of being.
This has been an incredible journey through Dharma number 61 through 80.
It really has.
I know.
I feel like we've covered
so much from like the everyday challenges.
Yeah, from the 8 worldly conditions to those extraordinary qualities of a Buddha.
It's amazing how these teachings offer such a comprehensive
framework for understanding
ourselves and the world.
And the world around us.
Yeah. I know I feel like I've gained so much insight from this deep dive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I encourage our listeners to really reflect on these Dharma and see how they resonate.
Yeah, how they resonate.
With their own lives.
With their own lives, yeah.
Right. What are your 5 fears?
What are your 5 fears? What nutriments are you taking in?
Yeah, how can you cultivate more detachment, mindfulness, wisdom in your own
life? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And what aspects of the Buddha's qualities inspire you?
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Remember,
the path to enlightenment is a journey.
Yes.
Not a destination.
It is,
Yeah.
And every step we take, every insight we gain, every act of kindness, brings us closer. To realizing our full potential.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Dharma Collection.
Yes, thank you for joining us. Until next time, may your journey be filled with wisdom, compassion, and joy.